Salut, it's Jennifer, your French teacher in the south of France, and today we're going to talk about using negation. There are lots of different ways to use negation in French. We're going to talk about how to do it in the present, passé composé, and futur proche, because sometimes there's some question as to where do I put the ne, where do I put the pas. Okay, we're not only going to talk about ne and pas, I'm going to show you some other very common and useful ways to use negation in French. The first thing you need to do, and you can find out how to do this in the description, the first thing I want you to do is download your blank lesson guide. So this is something new that I'm doing, just going to see how you like it. I think you will like it. It's not completely blank. A lot of the essential information that I'm going to show you is on there, but there are a lot of spaces for you to write in the rules and the examples that I'm going to show you. You know, when you write it yourself, pen to paper, it tends to sink in a little bit more. So if that's up your alley, be sure to download that. If not, I also have the regular lesson guide available with everything you'll see in today's video. Okay, so let's go. We're talking about simple French negation. First of all, in the present tense. And you know, in English, when we want to make a sentence or a question negative, we just have to say, do not, right? Like, do you have any gum? No, I do not have any gum. It's a little bit more complicated than that in French, but you'll see the rules aren't so hard. French negation has two parts. The first part is ne, and it goes before the verb. And the second part, in the simplest form of negation, is pas, and that goes after the verb. There are some exceptions. You'll see that when I show you some different forms of negation. But, you know, here's one thing that you might have in mind and you want to ask me about. A lot of times when French people are using negation, they do leave out the ne. This is just a very informal way of speaking everyday French. So don't be afraid to do that. You can certainly do it. Leave out the ne, but you can't leave out the pas or any of the other ways that I'm going to show you to complete the negation. That's super important. All right, so oh yes, here's the thing I needed to tell you. So about that ne, leaving out the ne, you might hear someone say something like, je sais pas, instead of je ne sais pas. Or it might even come out sounding like je sais pas, you know, if you're speaking to a Parisian, for example, je sais pas. But that really means je ne sais pas. Now listen, this bit here that I have written in red is really important. And I'm going to show you a way to kind of wrap your head around it in English. But when you have a definite article, and what I mean is un or une, or if you have a partitive article, like any form of de that you see there, when we're using those in English to mean some after a negative, that article changes to de or d apostrophe. Okay? It changes to de or d apostrophe. For example, if I said, tu as des bananes, right? Do you have any bananas? You would have to answer and say, non, je n'ai pas de, de, banane. So even though banane is plural, we're still just going to put de in front of it because that's a form of a partitive article. Now, the way that we do this in English that I wanted to tell you about, what if I said to you, oh, do you have some gum? I don't know why gum, that's just what came to my mind. Do you have some gum? You wouldn't answer and say, no, I don't have some gum. What would you say? No, I don't have any gum. So you see how we make a switch in English as well. That some changes to any many times. So it's the same sort of thing. We have rules like that too, all right? So look, we'll get into that. You'll see some of the examples. We'll have that little rule that comes into it. Let's start out looking at the simple negation using ne pas. So ne pas, and write this in on your blank lesson guide, ne pas just simply negates the verb. All right? So in the present tense, if I said, je ne vois pas mes amis, see how I've put ne and pas around the verb? It just means I do not see my friends, right? So that's that English, do not. In French, you do it a different way. And in the passé composé, you know, in the passé composé, you have a helping verb, right? In this case, it's avoir. So we say, je n'ai pas vu mes amis. Je n'ai pas vu mes amis. And the ne and the pas have to go around the helping verb in the passé composé. I find a lot of people aren't quite sure where to put pas. So this is where it goes. You have your helping verb, that's the meat of your sandwich, and the ne and the pas, that's the bread. All right? You have to fill it up there. But the vu, you don't want that in your sandwich. Okay, so it means I did not see my friends. Well, let's look at that in the future proche. I am not going to see my friends. We say, je ne vais pas voir mes amis. Again, we're putting the ne and the pas around the verb that has been conjugated. So if you keep that in mind, look back up at the present tense. The verb that's been conjugated is voir. In the passé composé, the verb that's been conjugated is est. And in the future proche, the verb that's been conjugated is vais. D'accord? So try to remember that. Now look, here's another one that's super, super important. Jamais. Jamais. So jamais means never. And we're going to follow the same rules of placement in the present tense. Je ne vois jamais mes amis. Je ne vois jamais mes amis. So you need to write that in on your lesson guide, okay? It means I never see my friends. Sometimes people, my students say, they're thinking in English and they say, I never. And they want to say, je jamais vois mes amis. We have to remember we can't think in English, right? The ne has to come before the verb. Or in the passé composé, je n'ai jamais vu mes amis. Je n'ai jamais vu mes amis. I never saw my friends. And of course, in the future proche, je ne vais jamais voir mes amis. I'm never going to see my friends. D'accord? Here's another one that you're going to like. Rien. Rien means nothing or anything. So in the present, je ne vois rien. Je ne vois rien. I do not see anything or I see nothing. Okay, you can take your pick in English, but in French, je ne vois rien. Passé composé, je n'ai rien vu. Je n'ai rien vu. So I did not see anything or I saw nothing. And of course, in the future proche, je ne vais rien voir. Je ne vais rien voir. I'm not going to see anything. Now, personne has two ways that you can use it in French. I'm going to start by showing you this one, where you put ne in front of the verb and personne after it. And it means anyone or nobody. So, je ne vois personne. I do not see anyone. You can also say, I see nobody. Okay? Passé composé. Watch this. Take note. You have to write this in on your lesson guide. In the passé composé, do you see something a little fishy about this? Je n'ai vu personne. Je n'ai vu personne. Uh-oh. So now, with personne, you have to know that this is an exception when it comes to placement in the passé composé. The personne does complete the negation, but notice it comes after the past participle. So that's going to take some getting used to. But I'll tell you what, when you sign up for my course, what I really want you to do is use your practice cards, okay? Because I've got 50 of them for you using regular, ne pas, all right? So listen, this is a lesson for you if you're just learning negation. And so you're like, okay, ne pas is enough for me right now, Jennifer. That's cool because I have 50 practice cards where you're only going to use ne pas and the audio that goes along with them because, sometimes when you hear it, it's not as easy as when you see it. Yeah, I know. It's like that. But you can practice with the simple negation. I also have 50 cards that you can use for the more advanced negation. That's your jamais, personne, rien, plus, all of these that I'm showing you. And I also have the audio that goes along with that. So be sure to take advantage of those resources. D'accord? Okay. So, je n'ai vu personne, big star next to that. Personne goes after the past participle, which is vu in the passé composé. I did not see anyone or I saw nobody. And the same funky kind of thing happens in the future proche. Notice where personne is going. Je ne vais voir personne. So we put personne after voir, which is an infinitive. Just one of those rules, okay? Now look, this one I decided to throw in just because a lot of times ne que gets overlooked in simple negation in French, and it really, really shouldn't. I don't think I learned this in my books when I was first learning French, but then I got to France and I was like, well, only is seulement. It is. Only is seulement. Yes, you're right. You can use seulement to mean only, but there's this thing that French people do, and you're like, why? Why? It's just so freaking complicated, you know? It is a little more complicated, but if you learn it, you're going to sound so French. Ne comes before the verb. Que goes after it, and all of a sudden, it means only. So that's a pretty neat little trick to sound more French. Look at this. Je ne vois que mes amis. Je ne vois que mes amis. I only see my friends. The placement is regular, okay? Ne coming before voir, que coming after it. In the passé composé, je n'ai vu que mes amis. Uh-oh, this one's a lot like personne. Je n'ai vu que mes amis. That means the que, like with personne, has to go after your past participle, in this case, vu. So I only saw my friends. And the same thing with the future proche, je ne vais voir que mes amis. Je ne vais voir que mes amis. I am only going to see my friends. So just to remind you, I said it's like personne, but these things go fast. Here's what personne looks like in the passé composé. Je n'ai vu personne. Je n'ai vu personne. Or, je ne vais voir personne. D'accord? Okay, so now look at this one. Plus. Plus. That means anymore. So write that in. Anymore. In the present tense, je ne vois plus mes amis. Je ne vois plus mes amis. I don't see my friends anymore. Oh, that's kind of sad. Passé composé. Yay, it follows the regular negation rule. Je n'ai plus vu mes amis. Je n'ai plus vu mes amis. So ne going before your helping verb, avoir. Plus going after it. And why? Because that is the conjugated verb. And here we have our little ne plus sandwich with the e in the middle, okay? Voilà, I didn't see my friends anymore. Future proche, let's not forget, je ne vais plus voir mes amis. Je ne vais plus voir mes amis, regular order, ne before vais, plus comes after it, with your infinitive coming later. I am not going to see my friends anymore. D'accord? Okay, now I wanted to throw this one in, pas encore. Pas encore, because it means not yet. And sometimes we want to say that, right? Je ne vois pas encore mes amis. Je ne vois pas encore mes amis. I do not see my friends yet. Or I do not yet see my friends, however you say it in English, right? Passé composé. Je n'ai pas encore vu mes amis. Je n'ai pas encore vu mes amis, so I have not yet seen my friends, or I haven't seen my friends yet. Now, for this one, guys, the future proche is not possible because pas encore does not refer to the future, you know? So it took me a while. I was like, Jennifer, you have to come up with one for future proche, but no, it doesn't work like that, okay? So pas encore for the present and the passé composé. Now, I've already shown you personne. But in the last example, let's just scroll back up for a second because I want to keep you on track and not get you confused. The first time I showed you personne, we had ne, and then the verb, and then personne, right? But there's this little thing you can do with personne. You can use it as the subject of your sentence. And this is going to look weird, but see, personne still completes the negation. But since you're using it as the subject of your sentence, you're going to put it first. So then you get this thing that looks really strange. Personne ne voit mes amis. So nothing comes after the verb, voir. Personne ne voit mes amis. Now you might ask me, hey, Jennifer, can I leave the ne out of that one as well if I'm speaking and just informal? Sure you can. Yeah, the ne is always optional in informal speech. So that means nobody sees my friends. And just an important note, personne, when you're using personne as the subject of your sentence, it's going to take the conjugation of the third person singular, just like il, elle, and on, which is why voir has a T on the end of it. D'accord? Passé composé, personne n'a vu mes amis. Personne n'a vu mes amis. Nobody saw my friends. Okay? Or nobody has seen my friends, if you prefer. D'accord? But we're still putting the ne before your helping verb, and nothing goes after it to complete the negation because you've already done it when you started your sentence with the word nobody, right? Your negation is already in there. Futur proche, personne ne va voir mes amis. Personne ne va voir mes amis. Same story. Nobody is going to see my friends. Okay? We can do the same thing with rien. So before I showed you ne plus verb plus rien, and it means nothing. Rien can also, just like personne, rien can take the place of a subject, and then ne follows it. So placement is the same as when you're doing this kind of thing with personne, all right? So in the present tense, rien n'est perdu. Rien n'est perdu. Nothing is lost. And you're like, what is that? That looks like the passé composé or something, but you said it was present. It's present. You see, the verb perdre, first of all, doesn't use être as a helping verb, does it? It uses avoir. So what we're really doing is writing a present tense sentence, rien n'est, and then we're using perdu. Yeah, it's a past participle, but past participles, like perdu, for example, can be used as adjectives. So when you see a past participle, it doesn't necessarily mean that your sentence is in the passé composé. D'accord? In the passé composé, look at this. It's not the verb perdre that we're putting in the past. It's the verb être. You see that? Because up here, être is our main verb. So être uses avoir as a helping verb. So we start out the sentence with rien as our subject. Then we throw in the ne, which becomes an apostrophe before a vowel. And then we put être in the passé composé using the verb avoir as helping verb. Rien n'a été perdu. Nothing was lost. D'accord? Okay. Futur proche. Rien ne va être perdu. Rien ne va être perdu. So nothing is going to be lost. And here we see our verb être in the infinitive form, right? Because that's futur proche. We're using aller plus infinitive in the futur proche. So nothing is going to be lost. All right? Now, what I want to do is show you, because this comes up a lot in my practice cards that I want you to download to really, get in this practice and master these different forms of negation. Sometimes you'll see clues in questions or in sentences, and those clues will determine how you could refer to them negatively if you don't want to just use ne pas. Okay? Because if someone says to you, if you look at the first example on the left, tu lis tout le temps, tu lis tout le temps. I know I'm kind of saying tout le temps like that. Tu lis tout le temps, but that's not how French people talk, okay? So, tu lis tout le temps. If you answered that, because it means do you read all the time? If you answered it and you said, non, je ne lis pas, just with your ne pas, you would just be saying, no, I don't read. And that's quite different then you're not really answering the question, okay? So if someone asks you, tu lis tout le temps, and you want to answer affirmatively, oui, je lis tout le temps, perfect. But you want to answer negatively, non, je ne lis jamais. So no, I never read, d'accord? Or, tu as vu tout le monde? This one is in the passé composé. Tu as vu tout le monde? Non, je n'ai vu personne. Je n'ai vu personne. Remembering that personne doesn't come after your helping verb, avoir, right? Personne, this is an exception, so it's going to come after your past participle. Je n'ai vu personne. Tu veux encore de la salade? Tu veux encore de la salade? So, do you want more salad? Again, you might not want to say, no, I don't want any salad. You might want to say, I don't want any more salad. D'accord? And that's your plus. Je ne veux plus de salade. Hey, and I'm not telling you this is going to be easy. If it's new to you, you're really going to have to practice. But it will get easier and easier as you go. And listen, when you're using those practice cards that I told you, I really want you to download those. You don't have to print them out. I've got them, some of them just one per page, so you can use them on your phone or on your tablet or computer or whatever. You don't have to print them out. But when you are using your practice cards, it's one thing. You're building one skill when you just say the answer in your mind, and you don't speak it. But you can do so much more than that. You can speak your answer, and you're getting practice, right? You're getting practice with that oral production. You also have to practice listening, which is why I've thrown in the audio. So, you can really do your reading, writing, listening, and speaking with this lesson. All right, let's look at the rest of these examples. So, tu as beaucoup mangé? Tu as beaucoup mangé? Did you eat a lot? Non, je n'ai rien mangé. Non, je n'ai rien mangé. Tu es déjà parti? Déjà means already. Most of the time it gets translated like that in English. Tu es déjà parti? Non, je ne suis pas encore parti. Je ne suis pas encore parti. So this one, remember partir, well, I say remember, I'm not sure if you've learned this yet, but in the passé composé, some verbs use avoir as helping verb, while others use être as helping verb. So partir is on the être list, and you can go and look that up as well in my lesson on using être as helping verb in the passé composé. D'accord? Je ne suis pas encore parti. How about this one? Tu as plus d'argent que lui? Tu as plus d'argent que lui? Do you have more money than him? Non, il n'a que 5 euros. Non, il n'a que 5 euros. No, he only has 5 euros. D'accord? So remember, this ne que is just another way of saying only. But if you're more comfortable and you're not at that point yet, you're still like, okay, I'm just going to use seulement for now. You can say non, il a seulement 5 euros. But seulement is not a negative expression, so you don't need to use the ne with it. All right? Important to remember. All right, look at this one. Tout est prêt. Tout est prêt. Is everything ready? So you can use tout as a subject as well, right? Everything is ready. Non, rien n'est prêt. Non, rien n'est prêt. Nothing is ready. At this point, you might be saying, these are sure looking like a lot of double negatives, Jennifer. Is that legal in French? Oui, 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 et oui. Oui, 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 et oui. Okay, so let me just show you. I always like to put the English in here as well, because most of the people who listen to me or who learn with me speak English. I won't say everyone's a native English speaker, but most people speak English. And so it's interesting to look at that question in English. Is everything ready? We put the verb first, and then we say everything. But it's not like that in French, because the word tout can take the form of a subject, which means the verb has to follow. D'accord? Alors, tout le monde est arrivé? Tout le monde est arrivé? Here's another perfect example. Everyone has arrived, but we would really say, has everyone arrived, right? Using it as a subject. Non, personne n'est arrivé. Personne n'est arrivé. D'accord? Using personne as a subject. And just before we finish, I want to show you more examples because I think examples are just always so helpful. Ne pas. This is our basic form of negation. Je ne mange pas ce matin. Je ne mange pas ce matin. I'm not eating this morning. Je ne mange jamais le matin. Je ne mange jamais le matin. I never eat in the morning. Je ne vois personne. Je ne vois personne. I don't see anyone. Je ne joue plus. Je ne joue plus. I don't play anymore. Listen, I have to tell you something because if you're a really close listener, you might have heard me up here. You see this example right here? Did you hear me say, tu as plus d'argent que lui? I pronounced the S in there. Tu as plus d'argent que lui. That's because plus, one of the reasons I should say, is because plus, or plus in this case, is not being used as a negative expression. However, down here, je ne joue plus, I don't pronounce the S because it's part of a negative expression. That's one of those rules that really confuses people sometimes. When do I say plus? When do I say plus? Well, just remember for now, if it's negative expression, you don't pronounce the S because if something's negative, you're sort of taking something away. You can think of it like that. All right, just a few more and then we're going to be done for now. Je n'écris rien. Je n'écris rien. I'm not writing anything. Hey, and look at this. There's always something else I can mention in French. You see here, I've written on this one and on the next one, I am not writing. And on the next one, I am not leaving. Don't let, well, here I have written I'm. I've done a contraction. I've made a contraction. And here I wrote I am. Of course, they mean the same thing. And some people get really confused with that because you see the word am and you think, okay, I am, je suis. Mais non, mais non. Because in French, when you say j'écris, example, like up here, j'écris, if I just wrote j'écris, it means I write, and it also means I am writing. D'accord? So since you have this right here, it doesn't mean that you need the verb être. On est d'accord? Okay. So, je ne pars pas encore. Je ne pars pas encore. I am not leaving yet. Again, there's no suis in there. Pars takes care of all of that. Je n'ai que 5 euros. I guess I'm stuck on 5 euros. Je n'ai que 5 euros. Oh, just to change it up, we could say je n'ai qu'une sœur. What does that mean? I only have one sister. Now, I wanted to write that example for you because, and again, if you're a keen listener, you might say, Jennifer, question, why is it that une, remember, I told you that une, sorry about that, changes to de after negation. Why isn't it doing that here? Because une and un and all of those forms of de, like de, du, de la, all that, they only change to de or d apostrophe when they mean the word some in English. Okay, so that's not what it means here. We're saying I only have one sister. So we can keep the une. It does not need to change to de. D'accord? Allez, rien n'est parfait. Rien n'est parfait. Nothing is perfect. And personne n'est là. Personne n'est là. Nobody is here. And again, you might see that là and say, doesn't that mean there? Yeah, it does. But people tend to use là more than ici in French. Maybe you've noticed that. If not, then I'll tell you, And so voilà, I want to make sure you write in these little extras that I typed. Write them in on your blank lesson guide because they're not on the regular lesson guide that I made for you. So let's just go back to this là, and it has nothing to do with negation. I just have to tell you that I've told it to some of you already, but one time when we used to live in St. Louis, there was this place we used to go called Blueberry Hill. It's just a fun place to go out and eat hamburgers and stuff. You can play darts. Anyway, it's the kind of place where you can, when you go into the toilet, everybody just kind of graffitis on the wall and stuff. And they don't care. They don't mind. So I was in there and someone, obviously a French girl because her name was Delphine, she wrote on the wall in English, Delphine was there. And I thought that was so cute. I wish I could have taken a picture of it because she was French and she was thinking in her French brain, Delphine était là. D'accord? But she wrote here. No, what did she write? She wrote there in English. Anyway, that has nothing to do with negation. So what are you going to do? Your next step, you've already gotten out your blank lesson guide. Hopefully you've taken lots of notes, written down all of the examples. Second thing, go ahead and print out your lesson guide where everything is going to be typed up, and you'll make sure you have everything on there. And then I want you to, yes, I have 5 exercises for you, and they're all different, okay? 1, 2, 3 of them are much the same, but one is in the present tense, one is in the passé composé, and one is in the futur proche, so you can practice. I have another one that's scrambled sentences, so you have all of these words, they're all jumbled up, and you have to look at them, you have to use all of the words, and you have to put them in the right order. Of course, I've given you an answer key. And then I have another one, which is a fill-in-the-blank exercise, and you have to choose the correct form of negation to put in the blank, and you have to put it in the right spot. After you do that, I want you to work on your practice cards. Remember, if ne and pas are enough for you right now, work with that set of cards, and you have an answer key. If you want to go on and push yourself, work with the advanced set, which includes all of what I showed you today. And then you're really going to push yourself and listen to that audio, whether it's for the simple or advanced set. Listen to the audio, and I'll say each sentence twice. And they're the same sentences from your practice cards, by the way. So you'll be used to them, but you'll be used to reading them, okay? So then you'll say in your mind, okay, I've practiced. I'm used to using them. I'm used to reading them. Let's see if I can understand when Jennifer says it and I don't read, which is very often a challenge. So work on those, practice. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And voila, later I'll be giving you a more advanced lesson on negation, but first things first, let's get this taken care of. Allez, très bonne journée et à très bientôt. Ciao et bye bye.